Hello, and welcome back to Shram's Academy's YouTube channel. This is Coach Ahmed, and I started this new series that I call Your Very First Lesson, right? And I recorded one for you already, your very first boxing lesson, where we discussed the stance and the footwork. This video is going to be your jab and cross, right? Your first two punches. And we're going to discuss what they are, what's the difference between them, how to deliver a jab and how to deliver the right hand, aka the cross. So first, let me say that there's two kinds of punches in boxing, right? There's the jab, which is a category on its own, and there's everything else. The jab is unique. It's quick, it's very poppy, it's very fast, it doesn't have a lot of power behind it, and most importantly, there isn't a lot of hip rotation. There's barely any hip rotation behind the jab. And then there's the right hand, aka the cross, which is your first power shot. So the two kinds of punches, the jab and everything else is usually labeled as a power shot, right? And the difference between the jab and the power shot is that power shots generally come from the hips or the body. The body needs to rotate to propel the punch. It's a much more powerful shot. It's much more explosive shot than the jab. The jab is a picking on your opponent punch, setup punch to get your footwork, to get your closing in, to throw your power shots after that, to keep your opponent busy, to score points, etc., etc., etc. But it does not have power behind it. Keep that in mind, right? It's very important. Now, when we throw the jab, first of all, let's stand in a boxer position. I'm side first, right? Boxer stance. My elbows pointing down. I want to push my fist from my shoulder straight. Notice my elbows pointing down, and then I'm going to rotate towards the end and bring my shoulder up to my chin. Right? So no footwork yet, just the jab. From this view, notice I'm not moving my head anywhere, right? I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing my head to my shoulder, which is a very common mistake I see, right? My arm just propels straight. My arm just moves forward. And I do a corkscrew motion with my fist, because this is the part of the fist that needs to land on your opponent, not this part, right? Corkscrew, and I bring my shoulder up to protect my chin against a counterattack while keeping my right hand here. Snapping your shot. Always remember to bring your hand back just as fast, right? And never hyperextend your elbow. So when you throw your punch, don't leave your hand out there too long, because those forces are going to go on your elbow. Your elbow is going to feel all the pain, and you're going to develop a bad habit, and you're going to damage your elbow. So never pop your elbow towards the end. Never hyperextend your elbow. And always develop the habit of exhaling, making that sound when you punch. That's the point behind it. Now from this side. It's a quick, there isn't a lot of power from the shoulder. Push, propel your fist forward. Another bad habit people develop when they learn the jab is they always initiate the punch from the fist, right? So it kind of looks like this. They start rotating the wrist and turning the fist because they're thinking of their fist. And that's a terrible, terrible habit. There's nowhere, anywhere in boxing where you're supposed to bend your wrist for a punch. You're asking for trouble. You'll damage your wrist, especially if you land punches like that on the bag. You'll start complaining of wrist pain. Don't bend your wrist like that. Rotate the arm, right? Rotate the arm. Push, rotate. I'll get a little closer. Push, rotate. Push, rotate. All right? Now, I see people sometimes come to the gym that they learned from I don't know where, and they do this. Actually, I saw some YouTube where instructors were teaching people to rotate as they punch. With all due respect to all the other instructors, don't ever do that. Never rotate your body when you throw the jab. Never. You set yourself up for a nice counter punch. You leave yourself exposed on this side and on this side. Don't learn this habit. Get rid of it. Excuse me. It's here. This is the jab. Yeah, but I want more power behind my jab. I don't want that flimsy, light jab. Fine. Now we add that step behind it to increase power and range. This is how we add power to our jab, by propelling our body behind it or pushing the jab from the body this way, right? That half step. And this is a good drill to do. So left foot, left hand. If you are a righty, if you're a lefty, this is your jab, is your right hand. Oh, maybe I didn't mention that. The jab is your weaker hand, right? So if you're a righty, you're standing in this position, your weaker hand is your left hand, and this is your jab. If you're a lefty, this is your weaker hand, and it's your jab, your right hand, right? So let's get this out of the way. I apologize for not elaborating or explaining that earlier. Cool, so going back, the jab. Now notice I step with the ball of the foot, right? And then flatten my foot. And then when I'm done, I drag my hand and my jab and my foot together. Don't do this. Don't ever learn this. Here, here. Now I use the jab as well to chase down my opponent. So I can do a full step behind the jab. But just like this one we just discussed, one, and then I finish. I drag my back foot. Right? On this side. Psht, psht, and I drag my back foot. Or psht, 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 psht. And that's the jab. Quick, snabby, poppy punch. There isn't a whole lot of power. And don't leave your hand out. Bring it back just as fast. The right hand, aka the cross. The left hand if you are a lefty. It's your first power shot. What we're gonna do, we're gonna learn to throw the right hand or that cross without the punch first. We wanna learn this movement. Watch my right foot and my right shoulder. I'm gonna give you a view from the back. Notice what I do with my back foot. I'm rotating my back foot. My whole body, my whole right side rotates and kind of leans towards, I'm sorry, not lean, faces the front. And back. And back. You're going to start there, right? You're not going to start with a punch here. You're going to start right there with that rotation. And a very important part of this rotation is rotating back. We want to develop that habit too, right? So start the movement in your back foot and bring your foot back, right? Don't go freeze there and sit and then come back. No. That comeback, that fast, rapid comeback is a part of the punch. It's not independent. And it's not optional either, right? Why is that? Because after a punch, you want to come back and protect yourself right away. You don't want to leave yourself out there for a split of a second. And it's going to make sense now when we add the hand, right? So now we practice this. My right hand is on my chin, facing you. Now I'm going to just put my right hand as a consequence of this movement. Notice I pull my hand back. Focus on the retreat now. Right? So am I punching through? No, I'm not punching through. Some more experienced boxers ask me this question, say, but if I'm not punching through, I don't feel my right hand to be as powerful. And I tell them, that's okay. When you're boxing, you're not trying to knock out your opponent with the first punch. That's reserved for MMA fighters because they wear 5-ounce gloves. We wear 10-ounce gloves in a competition, 14 and 16 in sparring. You're not in there trying to knock your opponent out in one punch. You're boxing your opponent. You're outboxing your opponent. And trust me, in a street fight scenario, if you're a trained boxer or a trained fighter, you don't have gloves on, if you land that punch on the tip of the chin, your opponent is going to be sleeping with the angels, right? So don't worry about that. Worry about popping that shot, because you're boxing, you're not street fighting. Two different things. So a couple of things will happen when you do this, right? The first thing is you're going to start feeling your right foot drawing back, right? Naturally, you know, that you're slipping on the floor. That doesn't mean you just stand in that position every time you punch and stay there. Remember, you're not a tree. You have no roots in the ground. So you throw the right hand, you found yourself slipping, adjust your stance. Adjust your stance. Adjust your stance. Another problem you're gonna face is when you throw the right hand, and this is very common, is that people push their foot back in this position. I see that all the time. It's terrible. And it's very wrong, because the actual force is no longer in your hand at your opponent, is in the ground behind you, because you're doing this. That's where the power comes from the ground, right? So don't slip your hand or slide your hand back, and don't lock your knee. Very important. Just here, right? Remember that. Don't push back, don't lock your knee. Just pivot, turn around, like you're squishing a bug, right? Turn around. Another bad habit, that's with the right hand and the jab, is the leaning on the lead foot, right? People try to lean. Bad knee here. People try to lean. Never lean. Never try to reach like that, right? It's here. If you want to reach, you step. But you don't lean over, because you leave yourself exposed there momentarily out of the fight. Don't lean on the lead foot. The right hand is not a long shot. It's a short shot. It's a short punch. It's not a long punch, right? The jab is a little long, and it's a setup for that quick right hand, right? So remember, never lean forward. Also, bad habit with the jab. Let's go back to the jab. When people throw that jab, right, they tend to do this with the right hand. For some reason, some people cannot separate the hands from each other. Let's not do that, right? Keep your right hand here as you jab. Here's some combos for you. Jab, jab, cross. Jab, cross, jab, cross. Cross, jab, jab, cross, jab. Jab, cross, jab, cross. Cross, right? You can do a lot of damage with just the jab and the cross. And we want to keep the lesson short, and we keep it at the jab and the cross as your very first lesson in boxing punches. Thank you for watching. And again, as always, if you have any requests or questions, leave them in the comments, and I will see you soon.